Hey, check out our new Hummer. I know it's a Failblazer. I'm actually referring to the front end noise it's making. So I did notice when driving this thing home after we purchased it that there was a kind of a humming noise, or almost like a tight vibration coming from what I assume to be the front passenger side. The way it sounded, it seemed to me like a bad wheel bearing. It doesn't look like it's terribly old, but I don't see any play. Pretty tight. I do have some slight noise when I push on it, but I don't really feel any looseness or movement, which could indicate a bad hub or even an outer tie rod. I don't hear any noise when I spin the wheel. Caliper doesn't seem to be stuck or anything, so maybe there's an issue with the tire, but there definitely is a noise and a slight pull to the right. So I took the wheel off and inspected the brakes. The brake caliper isn't stuck or anything. The rotor's not all ridged out or gnarly or overheated or anything. It doesn't show any signs of a brake caliper sticking. As far as the wheel hub goes, they were replaced a few years back according to the owner, and they have some surface rust on them, but they don't look like they've been on here forever. I don't feel any crunchy or grindy sensation when I'm spinning the wheel. So again, it could be in the tire itself. I don't know. Quite a bit of tread left on these. The tires are still relatively okay. Probably about 80 or 75% tread life left. Tread wear looks pretty even on the tire. If it was really bald on one end or something, that would show you that you got a bad bushings or possibly a bad hub or something, but it looks good. So I'm gonna throw a tire back on, but just not the original. I'm gonna throw the spare on. I just want to rule out that the tire is the problem. So I'll throw this on, I'll take it for a spin and see if that resolves anything. Probably won't, but at least we'll be able to check it off the list. Okay, so that test driving session just proved to me that it's definitely not the tire. With the hum and the slight vibration changing with the speed of the vehicle, I'm really suspecting that it is the wheel hub. So let's get a hold of a wheel hub and let's get this thing replaced and see if it doesn't just fix this problem. We're here with Sylvester again, and we're getting ready to replace the wheel hubs. I'm taking a break from cleaning out the interior. Let me show you. We've got some of the seats back in it. We've been washing the carpet. Just going to take a break from that to tackle these wheel hubs. I'm excited to be changing these wheel hubs, not necessarily because it's the work I want to do, but we've got a sponsor for today's video, and that's carparts.com. They sent me over some TrueDrive wheel hubs that we're going to install onto Sylvester, the Trailblazer, and we're going to go ahead and get started. Before I get this truck up off the ground, I'm going to go ahead and loosen the 35mm hub nut. Now I'm going to loosen all the lug nuts. Do this on the driver's side as well. So I got the rear wheels chalked, hold the emergency brake, I've got my jack stands ready. We're ready to pump this thing up.
We want to pump you up.
I'm going to get these lug nuts off. Or as my kids used to call them, wug nuts. Yeah. All right, I've got to remove the brake hardware in order to get this rotor off to be able to get the hub off. We're going to remove an 18mm bolt right here, and then we need to remove this one here. Again, both are 18mm, and I'm going to remove this whole thing as one unit. Okay, with those bolts out, we're going to go ahead and pry this bracket off of here, and then we'll set it off to the side. I don't want to hang it by the rubber hose because you could really strain it or crack it, and then you'd have a brake fluid leak. So we'll just set this whole thing off to the side. Try not to put any pressure on that hose. All right, before we go any further, I want to make sure I can loosen the CV axle from the hub. I want to be able to move this in and out so I know that it's free from the hub, it's not stuck in there, before I loosen any of the bolts to remove the hub. And I've got a special tool I'm going to use. This is a 9-way 5-pound slide hammer and puller set I got from Harbor Freight. I think it was about 90 bucks or something like that. So we're going to use this tool to press in that CV axle to break it free from the hub, and hopefully it's not rusted stuck. All right, I've got my claw puller tool and a 19mm socket on the end of this driving screw, and you can see that it didn't take a whole lot of pressure to move that hub, so thank goodness it's not stuck in there. It just took a little bit of force to pop it back. So now we can focus on getting this hub off, but first I'm going to take the speed sensor out. So this new TrueDrive hub comes with a speed sensor wire, so there's no need to remove it from the hub itself. We just undo all the clips that hold it to everything, and then just disconnect this pigtail right here. Alright, so it's kind of hard to see, but you just stick a screwdriver in there, kind of lift and twist a little bit, and it pops the connector off. I have to disconnect this pigtail from the frame, little plastic pry bar. Got this from Harbor Freight for like $1. I'm going to focus my attention on these 3 bolts that hold this hub into place. You can see this thing's pretty rusty, so hopefully they won't give us too much trouble. The CV axle shaft could pose a little bit of a problem getting to some of these bolts, but we'll just see how that goes. I'm going to use this extension that's got like a swivel head on it. So I got these from Harbor Freight. I've used them already, and they're really actually quite handy. You can see this is the kind of space I'm working with. That pivot head is really helpful in this tight spot. Oh, well, there goes. All right, this one that's right here, I need a very short extension. Again, it's a pivot head extension. So you can see what I'm working with here, so it fits perfectly. Got the CV axle and now the tie rod in the way, but this setup should work perfectly. Sweet, let's zip these out. All right, so we're gonna use the slide hammer to pull the hub off of the steering knuckle. I've got all 3 bolts removed. Speed sensor wire is removed, so this thing's ready to be knocked loose. I've got 2 lug nuts holding this bracket in place. Just gonna thread this slide hammer post into the tool. Get it in there a good ways. I'm gonna slide this hammer. Ideally, the shock will break this hub loose from the steering knuckle. So here goes nothing. It never happens on the first try. Hey, I'm not gonna complain. I'll take it. Or am I stronger than I thought? Let's go with that one. All right, so I've got a lot of rust and scale clean up first before I put a new hub in here. So I'm gonna take some time to wire brush all of that. All right, just making sure that the new hub matches up with the old one. The wiring all looks the same. Everything looks good, so let's slap it on the truck. All right, before we put the new hub on, I've cleaned the splines on the drive shaft. Just gonna throw a little anti-seize on there, so whenever I have to take this thing apart at some point, I don't want this thing to be seized to the hub, because that would make for a bad day. I can't forget the dust shield. Putting this back on the way it came off. I'm gonna run the speed sensor wire through here real quick. Probably wouldn't hurt to put a little thread locker on these bolts. I went ahead and just took off all the clips that came with the wire, and I'm just going to be reusing what's on the truck already. Nut back on just so I can kind of keep tabs on it. I always throw a lug nut on there just to keep the rotor in place. And I shouldn't have to collapse the caliper to slide this back on, but I just need to bear in mind that that's always a possibility. There we go. It takes. First try. Alright, we're going to give it a little test drive out here on the smooth pavement and see if we can hear a noise. downhill run on this road. I can coast, I don't have any engine noise whatsoever, and didn't hear a thing. So that humming noise was definitely the wheel hub, because now it is no longer humming. All right, got her fixed. Again, a special thanks to CarParts.com for sending me their TrueDrive wheel hubs. If you're searching for replacement parts for your vehicle, give CarParts.com a look. Their mobile-friendly site makes it super easy to search for and buy parts online anytime, anywhere, giving DIYers a parts store on demand.